Thank you so much.
Okay. I've had a few tests thrown at me in my first 2 weeks at Salesforce. That's probably been the biggest one so far. Okay, so let's come back to this ROI for the 5G market. So I mentioned there that next-gen connectivity is estimated to probably generate in the region of 480 billion. That's going to leave us a gap, essentially of 164 billion of investment that we need to recoup from somewhere. So really, this is about where can telcos look to address that. And it's split out pretty well on this slide between two key areas. So one being end-to-end connectivity, and the second being more in the ecosystem collaboration. So for sure, there's going to be growth in devices and connectivity, over on the left-hand side. But the trajectory of growth over on the right-hand side, as you can see, is much larger. So really in the applications, the managed services and the professional services is where we're going to see much more growth in this 5G market. To give you a bit of a stat, Nokia estimate that for the connected vertical industry solution, there will be approximately 2 trillion of opportunities. That's the long-term opportunity. So we're talking big numbers here, and that is purely enabled by 5G, right? So this is the kind of opportunities that 5G is enabling. So what are we talking about? What do these next generation of applications and services need to look like? Well, there's 3 key areas that we need to think about. So first of all, we need to think about maximizing the value of every single engagement. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example that everybody will recognize, I'm presuming. I'm an Amazon Prime customer. I'm presuming a number of you probably are as well, given the success of Amazon. And I've got a teenage daughter. She's doing her A-levels. And at any given moment, she'll come panicking into me and say, Mom, I need notepads. I need some exam guides. I need flashcards. Of course, she needs it yesterday, and my go-to would be Amazon. I'd go on my app on my phone. It's really easy to search at what I need. I'd probably get some personalized recommendations as to what other people have bought. I can order there and then. It's paid for on my Apple Pay straight away, and I get a delivery next day. That makes me a happy mum. That makes my daughter a happy student. Everybody's happy, right? So that's a delightful customer experience. So I'm going to clearly be a repeat customer for Amazon, okay? Translate that to the telco world. That's effectively what we're talking about. It should be as easy as that. That's what the consumerization has driven, is the expectation that you should be able to procure broadband and products and services in the same way, okay? What do you need to do that? Well, you need to accelerate digital transformation, right? This is where we're seeing the evolution of telcos to techcos, so that they can provide this kind of digital, consistent, seamless experience through any channel. Essentially, that's what needs to happen, okay? And if we look at 5G network as a service specifically, that's where the opportunity now is to use these slices and provide that network as a service through an array of applications controlled by the CSP or by third-party developers. The whole of the 5G opportunity is slated to be approximately 12.3 trillion by 2035. So this is really where we're leaning towards, and all of these things, this is the approach that needs to happen in order to capture that market opportunity. So in order to do that, though, that does require a bit of a rethink and a bit of an evolution. So to give you an example of what needs to happen in an organization, a typical telco organization, if you think about that consistent experience that I talked about, that delightful customer experience, in order to provide that, marketing, sales, and services would all have a touch point with the customer. That needs to be consistent. You can't have a marketing outreach to a customer who's having service problems, for example. So you do need that overarching view. And today, not everybody has that. So you have to kind of really get these organizations not to be siloed in their approach, to really kind of work together. And we're seeing the same across network operations and IT as well. So if we think about the infrastructure that needs to be in place from a network operations standpoint, it needs to be software driven, it needs to be API integratable, new network functions, etc. but IT needs to do the same. So we're seeing a bit of a blending of those functions, actually, if we think of the evolution of or the emergence of the CTIOs, for example. So it really is about kind of zero-touch automation across the piece, that ability to integrate to APIs, and certainly a collaboration across the organizational unit. So it requires a bit of a mindset shift. And what is a marketplace? So, this was what my presentation was going to be about. What do we mean by that? Well, I've got a marketplace definition here, and it's from Andreessen Horowitz. For anybody who doesn't know who they are, as I didn't, they are a super angel investment outfit based in Silicon Valley, and they've kind of backed the who's who of digital successes that you could name, household names, in our generation. And they say that any platform that connects the buyers and sellers of goods or services with each other and provides infrastructure to facilitate a transaction. That's essentially what we're talking about. But if we translate that then over to the CSP world, that would be a CSP-operated digital self-serve platform for buying and bundling services from a CSP and its ecosystem partners. But crucially, the CSP owns the customer. So they retain that ownership through that portal. So what benefits does a marketplace bring? Well, some pretty lucrative and obvious ones, actually. Revenue growth to start off with. If you think it's kind of natural, you're increasing your slice of the pie with the customer. You're increasing the number of products and services that they can buy from you. So you're basically increasing your cart sizes and the amount of revenue through revenue sharing opportunities that you can make through that customer. So that's number one. Number two, by doing that, it's pretty low risk. It's kind of a minimal cost investment to do that. It's low risk, there's no inventory required. So it's a nice, good way to help grow your revenues. And then you get to own the customer experience. So, you're owning that consistent shopping experience across the sellers, across the channels, through the self-serve portal. And what you're also doing is gaining intelligence about, because they're buying more products and services, so you can gain more real-time data insights about their buying patterns, and you can utilize that then to market and sell more effectively into those customers. And of course, there are some challenges, so just to kind of call those out. From a technology perspective, I would say that you can't do this on a legacy infrastructure, just be really clear about that. It does need to be cloud first, it needs to be able to have APIs integrated, it needs to be software driven. So need to think about how you would transform that infrastructure to be able to provide this. And maybe not a challenge so much as an opportunity, but we do really need to think about how you would manage the data, especially with regulation in place. From an organizational perspective, I've already talked about that mindset shift, that collaboration between business units. In order to do that properly, you're going to need leadership buy-in, and really you probably need a sponsor from the board, ideally, to be able to do it. And you may find that you have a lack of expertise. So, my advice on that would be you might want to partner, you might want to buy in the resource, or you might want to kind of create that developer community within your own organization. And then from a strategic perspective, anything that you do, you've got to find the right way, the right apps, the right partners that are going to work with you in your business, aligned with your strategic goals. So that just requires a bit of research, a bit of help, a bit of intelligence in terms of who you would work with. But the good news is that Salesforce is an expert in this area, and I would say that, wouldn't I? But I will back it up. So first of all, we do have the biggest B2B app exchange that exists today. We have over 7,000 apps on there. We have over 10 million downloads. So really trusted, proven, partnerships in place. And the good thing is it's not all kind of, you don't have to come to this completely green. There are a lot of pre-built apps that you can use and get set up really quickly. They are customizable, so you can adapt them to the needs of your business and of the partners that you're working with. And there's also a bit of support and help around finding what would be right for you in your business. So there's intelligent recommendations and curated collections that are available to you. So a lot of support if you decide to go on this journey and work with Salesforce. And you can see there a quite impressive list of customers that we do work with, brand names. I'll give you an example of what some of those do with us. So Airbnb work with us to acquire and onboard their hosts, for example. Walmart Marketplace use us to acquire, onboard, and manage their marketplace resellers at scale. And Spotify use us to create a marketplace for their podcast ad sales. So diverse, use cases there in terms of what they use us for, but what's in common is that they all work with us to kind of grow their customer base. So just to kind of summarize then on a marketplace solution that Salesforce provides, we give the ability to onboard marketplace partners and provide that connected seller experience. And that's through things like our partnership central, so where you can kind of meet with partners and do that kind of joint campaign, joint lead, joint selling activity. So the CSP and the partners can do that together through this kind of marketplace that we've developed. We've also got Support Central, so plenty of best practice information about how you might want to do this. We automate the end-to-end partner lifecycle with self-service tools. That's with things like our e-commerce tool and our seller central. So things like you can onboard partners, you can negotiate and sign contracts, and you can upload product catalogs, for example. So try and make it as easy as possible through these self-service tools. And all of that enables you and helps you to launch a marketplace and develop a business model very quickly. So just to bring it to life a bit more, I wanted to share with you a use case, which is a proof of concept that we put together. So ultimately, the use case is a cyclist, a consumer, who wants to buy a cycle helmet that has 5G connectivity, so to enable safer cycling, for example. And what we did was worked with two partners, Transverse and Matrix Software. And these partners, effectively have monetization abilities. We put together a complex value chain, which essentially covers onboarding a partner, having in place our e-commerce site for selling and ordering. We had a fulfillment chain, and revenue sharing capability. So we managed to demonstrate all this at the TM Forum Catalyst through setting this up, and ultimately, the consumer doesn't see any of that at the back end. But there, effectively, you've proven the model there for how a marketplace can unlock 5G opportunities. And just to summarize then, so what we're talking about here, if it hasn't landed, is that App Store type concept, bringing that to the CSP world. That's effectively it, right? And by doing that, you're creating new routes to market, so beyond traditional product and service. And what that enables telcos to do then is to drive up that ARPU, drive up your revenues, and keep customer loyalty. So by having this delightful customer experience that, really seamless, really easy, you're going to retain more customers onto your base. Now, if you remember nothing else from what I've said today, and it has been a bit tricky, just remember this, that the key to this is the self-serve, digital, scalable platform. That is what automates and personalizes the seller journey. So if you are going to go down that route, that's the key thing that you need to do here. And it's really about rethinking that concept to revenue process. So it's about reimagining what that looks like. If you think about things like your settlement processes, like your fulfillment, that's automated lead to order. That's essentially what we're trying to do within this process. Okay. So hopefully that's given you a flavor of how to unlock those 5G opportunities. If you have any questions, I think maybe we've got a bit of time for questions, if anybody has any.
Second. So we've got one that's coming virtually, but do we have any questions from the floor at all for Tara? Anyone? No? I'll start with the virtual questions. This is quite a simple one. So if a telco wanted to get started, what are the first steps for them essentially in terms of the process?
So first of all, speak to Salesforce, I would say. Really looking at building blocks. So I would say you need to automate your back end. I've talked a fair bit about that automation process. You would probably need to think about how you would manage your partners. Ideally, you'd need a commercial lead to do that. So, when we talked about rethinking how you would define your business to be able to set this up, you'd need a governance process in place. There's some technology things, there's some organizational things that you need to do. And if you're really serious about it, maybe bring in a consultant.
I was just about to say, do you get them involved?
Oh, yeah, and plenty of telcos have. Yeah, for sure.
Just in regards to the sort of the technology of 5G, I mean, is there anything that you're particularly excited to see develop within 5G yourself personally?
Yeah, I think there's still some use cases that are being thought through around 5G, but your previous presenters, I think the opportunities around health and smart cities and things like that, I think the opportunity for those verticals is really exciting. The sector I work in, gaming's a very obvious one, in terms of how it's taken off, and 5G has definitely been a part of that. But I think for communities and citizens, I think there's a really exciting opportunity how we can run our environments better, for sure.
Are you working with any telcos at the moment at all in terms of, I was noticing with the partners that you've listed, I didn't think I saw one, but so are there any in the pipeline that you're working with?
There are plenty that we're working with. I can't give you any publicly available case studies right now.
Sure.
Yeah, I am. I am, and Salesforce are. But what we're seeing particularly actually is a lot of activity in North America. Apparently they see it as an extension of their IoT business to do this kind of thing. So I think watch this space. There'll be some publicly available use cases quite soon.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Tara. Has anyone got any final questions at all? No? Oh, yeah, one question.
Hello there.
Hi.
Just a quick question. Your whole presentation was angled really on the leveraging on 5G.
Yeah.
But if I'm thinking about your marketplace concept, it could be across whatever access network.
Correct.
So could you maybe tell us a little more about this? Are you planning to expand and to leverage on whatever connectivity out there to offer these marketplaces to mobile user, fixed user, or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's the intersection of digital over, the capability that 5G gives you. So, if we think back from the consumer need, what's the use case, and how do you deliver that over a digital platform? With the focus on that customer experience. So that's where it interlocks. I think it's created a number of opportunities, but that IT platform that it has to be capable of being able to offer that 360 customer experience effectively. And the unlocking of the opportunities here is really about working with partners so that you can extend the reach of what you can do.
All right, thank you.
Tara, quick question here. Do you think the marketplace understands or sees the telcos as a channel to market for them, on how much education needs to be put in to both educate the market in addition to enable the service providers to do that?
I think it's a really good question. I think there's a brand perception maybe around customer service that perhaps the majority of telcos offer today, which is why they're so focused on it, right? They're so focused on getting up their customer sat scores, because we need to change that. We need to change the perception. The telcos are the kind of the obvious go-to because of the connectivity provision and their scale and reach. So, I think there's a bit of work to be done for sure. And you're right, probably education into the market as to what can be provided. Great. Thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed it.